Can you imagine?
Jesus.
Okay, we're good.
We're good?
Okay, does anyone need a drink or anything?
I really don't want to leave you.
You better hit.
Hi everybody and welcome.
Can you imagine?
Table where people talk about stuff.
Can you imagine?
I knew that was going to happen.
I should probably start this camera over here now.
Hi everybody and welcome to episode 35 of Nights at the Round Table. Today we are discussing the film Pitch Black, released in the year 2000. And this is a story of a commercial transport ship and its crew who are marooned on a planet on the eve of a month-long eclipse, only to find that they are not alone. And I'd like to start with general impressions of the book, so who would like to go first?
What book?
I mean, movie. Shut up. This is great. This is going to go so well. Somebody bring me something to drink. Can I get some Baileys in my coffee? Alright, you go. Good. Just for that.
Oh, so, I first watched Casablanca series. Anybody who's ever watched that movie came in halfway through to the end and had no idea what was going on, and then you rewatch Casablanca later. It's known as The Curse. I kind of had the same thing with Pitch Black, except we were at a house party, we were all drinking, everybody was everywhere. It was a tube TV that was far away, kind of came halfway through and went, what in the hell is this? Sounds scary, and went to sleep. That was my first watching. It wasn't until a couple of years later that I actually sat down and watched the full movie and went, actually this isn't too bad. So that was the like very first impression. But after watching it again yesterday, I was like, yes, I still love this series because I've seen Chronicles of Riddick and I've seen Riddick after the fact. I haven't seen the animated or anything, but I still really love this movie. It's quite fun.
Yeah, I actually didn't see the movie till a couple of years after Chronicles of Riddick, because I hadn't realized it was even out there until I started people talking about it. So I went back and actually picked up the whole series and then watched the movie and really enjoyed the movie, and enjoyed it again last night when I watched it. One of the things I liked about it was that the science fiction, it was sort of the backdrop as opposed to the flash effects, and so forth. It actually, focused on the story, the characters, not focused on the science.
Yeah.
So it's one of the nice things about that movie.
I first watched this movie in the cinema with my dad, because Dad is my action movie buddy. Whenever I want to go see an action movie, it's him I call because I know he's up for it, and a lot of my friends just aren't. Losers! And I love this movie when I watched it in the cinema. I remember being terrified in that it was much more a horror movie than a sci-fi movie for me. The first time I watched it, so this time, remembering that I was terrified, I watched it in full light of day, and and I really enjoyed it. And I wasn't nearly as terrified, and the action was brilliant. And the acting was brilliant. I know a lot of people complain about Vin Diesel's acting, but I couldn't fault him. He is Riddick in this movie.
He really is.
And yeah, completely believable. All the other actors and actresses were excellent too.
I agree.
So yeah, it was great. Also, I loved that there was an Australian Aboriginal man in this movie. Spoiler alert: black guy gets gotten first.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of Australians in this movie.
Yes, but he was the only one who maintained his accent.
Yeah.
No, that's good.
Yeah. Although the use of the word crikey, I almost punched the screen. But yes, great movie. I loved it.
I agree. I'm not a big person into horror. I mean, thriller, suspense, it depends on what it is. And originally, being at that drunken party, it did seem like it was a horror movie, and then when I actually watched it later, I'm like, okay, it's got a couple of scary-ish type bits, but then watching it a few times, it's actually not that bad. No,
yeah,
I can deal with it.
It's horror for me in the same way that Alien is horror.
Oh, don't get me started on Alien.
Yeah.
Okay.
More of a thriller, I guess, than,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
than a horror movie in my mind.
But there's monsters.
Monsters
Yeah,
don't
but that
necessarily
doesn't-
equal horror.
Yeah, I think it's just how it's presented to you, really.
Okay, I don't know.
Hard to say.
I honestly, the delineation between the two genres is just non-existent for me. They're both the same thing. If they leave me frightened.
Yeah, I have to agree though. I'm not much for the thriller type movies, and definitely horrors are right off the
Yeah,
from me
same.
there. I don't really watch those at all. But this one here, like I said, I did enjoy it, and so forth. And it's kind of interesting. I went back online, was looking at some of the comments and stuff. It seemed the critics were about split down the middle, more or less, on whether they liked it or not.
Really?
However, it looked like most of the fan base had nothing but really positive comments to say about the movie, which is kind of interesting. But that's probably the way movies go. You know, critics hate it, fans love it.
Yeah.
What I really liked about this movie, even though it was Riddick who goes on for the rest of the series, in this movie, it wasn't Riddick's story. Riddick was not the hero.
Yep.
It was someone else's story. Riddick just happened to be there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which I really liked, and I loved. For me, at least, the hero was Carolyn Fry,
Yeah.
and I love that she went from "we'll murder everyone to make sure she survives" to "we'll sacrifice herself to make sure everyone else survives."
Exactly.
Including the criminal.
Including, yes.
Yeah.
Well, that wasn't supposed to happen, really. I promised I'd die for them, not for you.
Yes, exactly. That was brilliant.
It was. So yes, I loved that it was her story, and the Rana Mitchell, Australian actress who played it, did a fantastic job. And I knew her from Finding Neverland. Yes, she plays J.M. Barrie's wife. Great movie, by the way. If you want to cry for ages, watch Finding Neverland.
Oh, jeez.
And so I was watching this again, and I can't remember, but I think Finding Neverland came out after Pitch Black. And I didn't make the connection until the second time I was watching Pitch Black, and I'm like, she looks really familiar. Why do I know her? And then this morning on the bus on the way here, I was like, oh yeah, Finding Neverland. I've only seen that movie 500 times.
But a lot of the, I noticed that a lot of the actors in this movie, other than Vin Diesel and Claudia Black, were, relatively nobodies that career sort of jumped off after this.
Yeah, I would
Or
agree
made
with
a lot
that.
more afterwards.
Because the guy who plays Johns, the second I looked at him, I'm like, Too Fast, Too Furious. Because he's like the main villainy, yeah.
That's
Cars.
Cole Hauser.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
He does
Yeah.
devilish type. Pretty
He's
well.
a
Well,
rap-
not like super evil, but
Yeah.
still evil intent and arrogant, and that totally fits him between the two.
Poor
of them.
bastard has been typecast. Okay.
I forgot.
Well, one of the other things I noted too, some of the people on the thing talking about the originality of the movie and stuff like that. These days, my thought is probably very little that doesn't draw upon something from
Yeah.
somewhere else.
Exactly. It's
But
very cliche.
One of the things that I noted was that there's a movie called The Last Wagon. It's about a 1950s Western where there's an outlaw and a wagon train survivors who are afraid of this outlaw who's in their company and have to rely upon him to get them through hostile Indian country. So there's sort of a plot line that's very similar to Pitch Black.
Yeah, very similar.
Yeah.
I was actually going to bounce off your earlier point about the characters. I like that in this movie, nobody is an archetype, except not even Riddick, who is supposed to be like the archetypical criminal. He's completely badass. Yes, he's killed a lot of people. Yes, he's not all that shy about killing. But you see a little spark of humanity in him.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
And his character, I really, really enjoy throughout like the entire series. It's just he's very like that one scene where they turn around and they shoot the random guy and he's just sitting off in the distance, having a drink. And I'm just sitting there going, I love Riddick for so many reasons.
Yes, when he takes over the chair, underneath the umbrella, he takes a swig of the alcohol. Corny and silly and stupid, but I'm sitting there in the movie going, yeah.
But it sets the tone for his character.
It does. But see, but Riddick isn't the only one, right? The guy who has Riddick in chains, the cop, turns out he's a junkie.
Yeah.
And
Not even a
I
cop.
can't
not even a
watch
cop.
that
He's
scene.
got issues. There is Fry, obviously. He started off as an incredible coward and becomes this incredible heroine. There is the Jack, who is actually not who you think or what you think he is.
Yes, exactly.
Spoiler alert.
Yep.
And I have to say, the person who played Jack did a fantastic job. The only person who really was exactly as they seem was the Imam and his two poor kids.
Two or three
followers.
Yep.
Those poor kids.
Yeah.
Yep. You knew they were. You
so-
knew they were the first to go.
Yeah, when it comes to characters, they did a really good job of making everybody human and nothing is black and white. And it was really well done, which is surprising for this kind of movie because you're kind of just expecting jump scares and awesome action.
Exactly.
But they did a really good job with the story and they did a really, really good job with writing these characters.
Yeah. And with the characters too, what I really loved is that all of the women are not like the stereotyped horror blonde chicks that are like, like they're all tough women. They're all
Claudia Black's character? You son of a bitch, punching and kicking.
Exactly.
I love you, lady.
Isn't that the typical role for her?
Well, yes, for her, but for women in general, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially since like this is more of a you just need to survive. Like even Riddick is very much like I may be a killer, but I'm gonna stick with these people because we're trying to survive, and the only way to make this work is to kind of stick together and pool our resources and find the water and get the cells for the ship and.
Well, yes and no. I mean, at the end of the movie, unless before Fry's character showed up, he was just going to abandon them. I fully believe that he was just going to take off and.
Oh, absolutely.
But yay, Carolyn Fry.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, and I also like that. Unlike a lot of these kinds of movies, the badass character, the Riddick character, even though not the main character of the book, is not. I mean, he's tough. And he can fight, but he's not superhuman. I mean, he's missing a good portion of his ankle when they find him at the end of the film. Right?
Yeah.
He doesn't come out unscathed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't think any of the movies he comes out unscathed.
Because of Riddick, the worst thing that happened to him was he became a leader of a cult he wanted nothing to do with.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, there was no real physical damage.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of, I found it interesting there, I guess there's a documentary or whatever, Into Pitch Black.
Oh, really?
Is there? Oh, I want to watch that.
I don't know if it's on
that
my
too.
disc, but I haven't checked.
Yes.
Anyways,
Me?
yeah. Anyways, I guess there was a psychologist that did a psych profile on Riddick.
Really?
Yes, so one of the comments he made was, Riddick had a reason for every person he killed, although the victims may not have agreed with Riddick's reasoning.
That's true. When he knocked off Johns, it was because Johns threatened Jack.
Yep.
And that was the first little hint that you got that there's something still human in Riddick,
Yeah.
which made me like him.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was kind of interesting. He was prepared to abandon them all, including Jack.
Yeah. But I
Afterwards.
figured probably by that point he's like, they're dead anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've already broken through. They're dead.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Or the question is, well, is he going to bring the little hopper back over to closer to them?
Oh, maybe.
I did consider that at one point.
But afterwards, I don't know.
Well, no, because they still had to hijack it back to the hopper
Yeah.
after they got out of the cave.
Yeah. Or to however, yeah, but he could have made that distance shorter.
Except that he didn't.
Well, we don't know that. Well,
Yes, because they still had to go through all the containers
Yeah,
stuff to get to them.
they should have. Yeah, they could. Yeah, if he was going to do that, they would have done that.
Yeah.
They went back for him.
Yes. See that?
So,
Yeah, that's my point.
Yep, okay. You could just whack me behind my ears. Not now, but later.
Bill ends up with a concussion.
Of course, one of the things that bothered me in this movie, highlighted on the hops, is where the hell do these creatures come from? Here you have a planet that's surrounded by 3 suns, and they cannot come out into the sunlight. Mm-hmm. Okay, it makes sense that they're burrowing type creatures, which they are. Mm-hmm. Not too many burrowing creatures that can't come out into the sunlight fly. So how?
Oh, that's true.
So where do these creatures come from?
Yeah, I suppose.
See, that wasn't my question at all, because I could imagine, like, if you go into caves, bats live in caves, they fly. So that wasn't an issue for me. The issue was, fuck, did they eat?
Well, obviously
Each other. But then there were so many of them. You would think that a species that spent, however many years eating each other until they could come out and see if there's anything left on the surface to eat, there would be like a small amount instead of like hundreds upon thousands.
Yeah. But the thing is that they were so large, and that they could fly. They wouldn't have any real need to come out and fly outside because they wouldn't evolve that way.
Unless they were
kind of
programmed behavior, like the year
or
migration.
One of the other thoughts.
Or migration, that's
migration.
exactly what I was going to say, is they might not have originated there.
Yeah, they were brought there. It's probably about the only thing that would make sense in a lot of cases.
Exactly. So, I mean, like you're talking about the minimum amount of time that they would have been on the planet is 22 years, or 23 years, because obviously the sun's all eclipsing.
Yeah.
Like that.
The Great Conjunction.
Very interesting. Yeah, no. My biggest problem with the movie was just the whole crashing. She kicks out the window, I was writing at the time, so I didn't notice if she kicked out the window or if it was the debris that crashed the window
I think it was debris.
Yeah, to stabilize the ship. It's like, okay, so you're talking about a planet that you're coming in at ridiculous speeds. She's taking all of this in her face. There's no debris, there's no scratching, can you breathe the air is kind of like number one thing when you're going to a new planet. And then Matt, who was watching it with me, was like, so why do they have these little tank-like things on their back? Like, what are they doing? I'm like, I'm assuming it's oxygen. And he's like, but why? They're all already breathing. And I'm like, well, have you been to the mountains? It's a little bit harder to breathe.
They mentioned that they felt like they were using only one lung.
Yeah, no, when they were coming in for their crash, she started kicking at the console or whatever.
That was hilarious. I love that. She's like, damn it.
But then when she did it, the lever she had pulled earlier activated, right? Which brought out some flaps that brought her nose down so that the crash was a bit more controlled.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they would have smacked into the planet at whatever speed.
Butt first and...
Yeah,
exactly. But that was really my only, I mean, forget the cliches, you kind of expect them with these types of movies and the year 2000, okay. So you just kind of gloss over those, and it was just that first scene that it's like, again, it's kind of like going back to Galaxy Quest. Do you not watch the show?
There were, problems with the movie. I had 2 problems. One was the bizarre switch from proper colors to the negative contrast when it wasn't Riddick looking. They just had that sometimes for dramatic effect.
Depends on the sun, which sun was that?
No, they would actually go into the negative, where a white knife would be black and the darker background would be white. It wouldn't be very often, but they did it, and I found it super distracting. And then there were a couple of instances of, where the frack did that light come from? Because it wasn't the lights that they were holding. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, they needed to have the lights so you could see what the hell was going on, but there was no source. And it wasn't because I was looking for it, but I just noticed it. I think doing these panels has ruined me. I can't not notice these things now, but they were just light that I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure that's not supposed to be there.
The only time that I actually noticed the difference was when they were barricading themselves in that other building, when they realized that, oh, the creatures are in there, suddenly it went from like the dark bluish gray to suddenly it was like normal lighting.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that doesn't seem to work right then.
See, I noticed it when they were making the dash for the hopper.
Really?
Yeah, there was a scene where you're looking down at the group, and then you see their light sources, but then there was this whole other like floodlights or something.
It looked like a lot of lights in around that settlement.
Yeah, but they weren't
At the
there
end.
yet.
Yeah, no,
See,
but,
that had a source. That
Yeah.
didn't bug me. The
Yeah.
lights of the settlement didn't bug me.
but
But
the creatures coming into the settlement with all the lights did.
yeah,
Right at the
that's-
end there.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but that's kind of, okay, these guys are sensitive to light if they're coming into a source of light.
But on that note, I really that sort of ending sequence,
Yeah.
like they're all there and they're all like, and he's like, just wait, just
Yeah,
chilling.
that last that last
Yes!
bit of petty revenge. I'm like, yes.
Oh my goodness.
I have to say, there are some beautiful shots in this movie.
Yes.
The yellow and blue sun, like when you see
Yes.
the group and they have the yellow sun and the blue sun, and
Yeah.
they're just walking between.
Yeah.
That's a gorgeous shot.
I agree.
Really beautiful.
You don't normally see in Queensland, Australia.
Nope. I mean, there have been instances where it was raining on one half of the yard and not the other. But really,
Yep.
yeah, I could literally stand and I would be soaked on one side and perfectly dry on the other. It was pretty weird.
Oh, that's great.
So,
Oh, and the other problem I had was in the fight between Johns and Riddick. Broken arms don't heal that fast, dude. Because Johns breaks Riddick's forearm.
Yes, and he's like, shh.
That I get. It's like, yeah, okay, fine, you said it, good. But then he uses that arm for all kinds of blocks, and I'm like, no! Not possible!
I never even noticed that part.
No, the only.
How could you not notice?
I guess I wasn't really paying attention to
Right
that.
on it. The only.
I was doing other things too, Larry.
The only part with anything like that that really was when he's chained up to the post and he's like, and I'm like, oh, that's gotta hurt like
Yeah,
a
the
bitch.
popping of, yes.
Oh.
See that didn't bother me though in terms of technicality, because there are people
Oh
who do
no.
that.
Yeah. It was just.
Did he actually do that? Like,
Oh, I actually read that. He actually did do that.
he
Vin Diesel
actually dislocated his own
did
shoulders.
that, and yeah. No, it was when I read that.
I mean,
that is awful.
That's awesome in an awful way. Good on you, Mr. Diesel.
He's a tough cookie.
Yeah. Riddick had some brilliant lines.
Oh yes.
My favorite was I had two. Was the looks clear, and then the creature comes out, and Johns is like, I thought you said it was clear. I said it looks clear. He goes, what's it like now? He just looks up, he's like, looks clear. And I'm just like, But my favorite one was when he was talking to the Imam because the Imam is talking about faith, and Riddick's like, well, no, you have me all wrong. I absolutely do believe in God, and I hate the fucker.
Yes.
And I'm just
love
like,
that.
yeah, that's a great line. I mean, whether you ascribe to that philosophy or not,
Yep.
that's a good line.
It is. And one of the other lines that I really love is the antique guy where he's like, just a suggestion, perhaps you should flee!
And I love that he used the word flee instead of run.
And then they're like, oh shit!
Yeah,
There were so many, oh my goodness.
I have to say the music in this was awesome as well.
I actually didn't pay
You didn't
attention
pick,
to
the music is beautiful.
that. I really...
The score is really, like, I'm a bit
I
of
missed
a
that
music. I'm a bit of a music nut. Well, see, that's
Oh,
it.
I am
It's
too,
suited-
but some, like...
it suited
if
the
it fits
situation.
so well, then you really just kind of don't
just go along
notice
with it.
Yeah.
But I did notice, mostly because it fits so well, and it just popped into my mind. I'm like, hey, this music is amazing. How are we for actual time? We're on our last little section, aren't we?
Yeah.
Oh.
6 minutes in, you're 2.5 minutes past your normal cutoff.
Okay.
But you guys seem to be having a good time.
Yeah.
We are having a good time.
We are.
There was,
So you have 3.5 minutes before we cut.
one question because I didn't get a chance to look at it. The guy who directed this movie, did he also do Alien?
No.
No, he
Because I
did
felt
The
like
Arrival.
he did.
The Arrival.
Well,
Oh, sorry, the writer did The Arrival. Or the movie.
Huh?
And writer and director did the movie called The Arrival. I haven't seen that one, but it's another sort of a sci-fi suspense type.
Oh, well, it felt very alien to me.
It did. Yeah, it did. Yeah, which is why I mentioned it.
But I don't think
I don't
anybody
think it was the same.
No.
I don't. I will research that and put it in the
Yeah.
notes because we are actually pressed for time. We're having so much fun.
Yes.
Yes,
I'll
I'm
let
gonna ask
somebody-
my last question then.
Okay, quick.
Weren't you gonna rate the movie first?
Yeah, out of 5.
Oh, 4.
4.
4. Yes.
No halves for Tom.
Nope. Watch the movie. You
That's
did
twice.
good. I really liked it.
2
and-
panels,
yeah.
no halves for you.
I'll ask the question afterwards because it is a spoiler type question.
Oh, it is a spoiler
Okay.
type question? Alright, well then we'll also put that in the thing down below. Or maybe we'll make an extra DVD or something. Pick the next
Yes.
Who you gonna call?
Brilliant! Ghostbusters 1984. We will be reviewing that in a fortnight. If you want to join in the conversation, leave a comment down below. We're also on Facebook and Twitter. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you. Alright, good. Next time I'm coming with a knife.
Do you think Riddick stabbed or sacrificed Carolyn at the end?
That's a very good question.
That had about 40 odd pages of comments on IMDb.
Really?
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't think he
I don't
did.
think so either.
Yeah, no, I
For two
think-
reasons. One, they had the proboscis and they've used it before. Like the creatures
Yep.
had the stabby thing.
Yep.
And also when I think he let her go. Like he released her so that they would drag her away.
Yep.
But because he said not for me,
Yep.
I think that no, he didn't stab her.
I did have a sort of a thought. There's that one scene where she's like leaning up against the bones, and then Johns comes over and they're yakking away, and Riddick is behind the
Yes.
bones and has the little knife. And my thought process was, I wonder if he's just gonna nick her so that she's bleeding, so that the aliens will be attracted to her and kill her off. But then that didn't happen, and I was
No.
like, interesting.
On that though, first and second time watching this movie because it's been 14 years
Yeah.
since I've seen this movie.
Exactly.
When you see the blood and you hear the sound, and then you just see Riddick and Fry, I was like, oh, did he stab her?
Yeah, I did the same thing.
But then, she gets taken away and he's like, not for me, and I'm like, no, he didn't.
Yeah.
Okay,
Good question, huh?
that was
Yeah,
a
it
great
is a
question.
good question.
I'm putting that at the end, actually, that's going in.